Silver, China, and why. 2026 could change everything. Let me ask you something that's probably going to make you uncomfortable. Last year, you watched the stock market go up. Your retirement account finally looked decent again. Your 401k stopped feeling like a bad joke. And yet, somehow you still feel uneasy. You feel like prices keep rising, you feel like your money doesn't stretch the way it used to, and you feel like something big is happening in the economy, but no one is really explaining it clearly. Here's the uncomfortable part. One of the best performing assets last year wasn't stocks, wasn't crypto, wasn't real estate, it was silver. And most people have no idea why. Even fewer people understand what that means for 2026. Because what's happening with silver right now isn't just about investing, it's about supply chains, politics, China, and whether the systems you rely on actually work when pressure shows up. This is one of those topics that sounds boring, until it suddenly isn't. And if you ignore it, you might wake up one day wondering why everything feels more expensive and harder to get. My name is Kevin, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, markets, and how economic systems actually work. If you're someone who feels like the economy keeps changing faster than you can keep up, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're talking about silver, why it exploded in 2025, why China matters more than most people realize, and why 2026 could surprise a lot of investors, in both good and bad ways. And look, this isn't a hype video. This is about understanding what's actually going on so you don't make emotional decisions later. Let's start with the facts. In 2025, the S&P 500 was up roughly 16-20% depending on when you measure. Gold rose about 60%. Silver surged roughly 140% at its peak. That means silver outperformed stocks, gold, and even Bitcoin during parts of the year. Now, this is where most people jump to the wrong conclusion. They say, oh, silver went up because people were scared. That's part of it. But it's not the whole story. Here's what most people don't realize. Silver is not just a precious metal, it's an industrial metal, and that distinction matters a lot. Gold mostly sits. It sits in vaults, it sits in jewelry, it sits in central bank reserves. Silver gets used a lot. Silver is essential for solar panels, electric vehicles, data centers, semiconductors, medical equipment, AI infrastructure. To give you a concrete example, an electric vehicle uses 60 to 70% more silver than a traditional gasoline car. A single solar panel uses silver in its conductive paste. Data centers, the backbone of AI, require massive amounts of silver for electrical efficiency and heat management. So when people say silver is just another shiny rock, they're wrong. Silver is a supply chain metal, and when supply chains tighten, prices don't move smoothly. They snap. Now, let's talk about China. China controls roughly 60 to 70% of the world's refined silver supply. That alone should make you pause, because when one country dominates supply of something essential, that thing stops being just a commodity. It becomes leverage. On January 1st, 2026, China officially restricted silver exports to the United States through licensing and controls. This wasn't random. This was a response to US tariffs, trade restrictions, broader economic decoupling. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but does that really matter for me? Here's why it does. When supply is restricted at the source, prices don't just rise. Availability becomes uncertain. And uncertainty is what markets hate the most. Let's zoom out. If silver prices stay high, companies that rely on silver face a choice. Option 1. Absorb the cost. Lower profit margins. Option 2. Pass the cost on to you. That's inflation. There is no third option. This is why silver matters, even if you never invest in it. If EVs, solar panels, and data centers cost more to produce, prices eventually rise downstream. And this is where it gets really interesting. The US government knows this, which is why silver was added to the critical minerals list in late 2025. That designation matters. It means silver is officially considered a national security resource. That gives the US government more authority to Incentivize domestic mining, stockpile reserves. Support alternative supply chains outside China. This isn't about ideology, it's about resilience. Now let's talk about the dollar. In 2025, the US dollar had its worst year in nearly a decade. When people lose confidence in a currency, they don't do spreadsheets. They do emotions. They buy things that feel real. That's why gold rallies during currency fear. Silver benefits too, but differently. Gold rises mostly because people fear loss. Silver rises because people fear loss, and businesses need it to function. Silver is a hedge and an input. That combination is rare. On December 1st, 2025, the Federal Reserve ended quantitative tightening. In plain English, they stopped pulling money out of the system and started adding liquidity again. Historically, hard assets respond strongly to liquidity shifts. Not immediately, but eventually. This doesn't guarantee higher silver prices, but it raises the probability, and investing is about probabilities, not predictions. Now, here's where I get a little frustrated. Most people hear all this and think, so I should just buy silver? No, that's lazy thinking. Smart investing is about scenarios, not certainty. Scenario 1, silver stays elevated due to continued supply constraints. Scenario 2, silver pulls back as markets digest new supply investments. Scenario 3, volatility stays high for years. Each scenario has different implications. Some investors look at silver ETFs like SLV, silver miners through funds like SCL or SLVP. Others look at U.S. industrial ETFs like XL1, infrastructure-focused funds like IEV. Some even look internationally. Mexico, the largest silver producer. Australia, key rare earth supplier. None of these are guarantees. They're expressions of belief. And belief should always be paired with humility. This video isn't about telling you to buy silver. It's about teaching you how to think. Here's the real lesson. When demand, supply, and policy move together, markets don't behave normally. And when geopolitics enter supply chains, price stability disappears. If you understand that, you stop being surprised by the world. You stop reacting emotionally, and you start making calmer decisions. Silver didn't break the stock market. It exposed something deeper. It exposed how fragile modern systems can be when incentives, politics, and resources collide. You don't need to panic. You don't need to chase. You need understanding. Because the people who do best financially aren't the ones who predict perfectly. They're the ones who adapt calmly. If this video helped you think more clearly about what's happening in the economy, subscribe. If you know someone who's confused about markets right now, share this with them. And remember, money isn't about being right all the time. It's about staying rational when the world gets noisy. See you in the next one.